Hey guys, so I'm thinking of breaking this down into 3 different workshops. So the first workshop would be if you think about Simon Sinek's the why, the how, and the what. We start with the why, and the first workshop would be all around defining the vision. The second workshop would be about the how and defining the strategy. And the third workshop would be about defining the what. And so getting closer and closer to bringing your product to life. So for the first workshop, for the defining the vision, we would do a business model design workshop. What I need from you is some assumptions around your customers and the problems that your customers might have. The output of that workshop would be a business model on a page or a lean canvas, if you're familiar with that. And the outcomes that we'd hope to get from that exercise is just getting clarity and agreement on the 9 different parts of the business model and really identifying the riskiest hypothesis to inform our next step. Then we would work on your traction model. So your traction model is just a way to plot out the course of growth that you would have to have over the next 3 months and the next year and the next 3 years. So just to inform your next steps to make it a little bit more digestible to get from where you are today to where you want to be in 3 months, in 1 year, and then 3 years. So the inputs for that would be just to have an idea of what that 3-year target might be. We need to have some assumptions around the revenue that you want to make and the pricing that you've got in mind. A little bit of an idea around the growth appetite. So do you want to double the business in a year's time? Do you want to triple it? Do you want to 10x it? And then also need some assumptions around conversion. So imagine for every person that visits your website, is everyone going to sign up to a newsletter? And if everyone who signs up to a newsletter, how many of those are going to become paying customers, and so on and so forth. So I need some assumptions around that. And what we would get out of that activity is just a 3-year, 3-month, and 3-week targets. And the outcome of that activity is just getting real clarity on the targets that you would have to hit to be able to realize the vision for your product and to make those targets digestible in the short term, so that tomorrow morning, when you start your marketing activity, you know the number that you need to be hitting in order to achieve the 3-year target that you've set yourself. The second workshop would be all around defining the strategy. So we've defined our North Star and our vision. Now we need to define how we're going to get there. So we would go into defining goals for the year, for the quarter, and to go into like an activity, a work breakdown structure. So if you've ever worked in a project that uses Agile, we're going to be using some of those activities. So really, we're just taking a big goal and we're breaking it down into smaller pieces. And we're taking each of the different goals and then breaking them down into deliverables and into different sort of bite-sized pieces that we can go and create a bunch of activities around. The inputs that I would need for your quarterly goal setting and for the work breakdown structure, we'd need to have a pretty good idea of your team's capacity, have a good understanding of the riskiest assumptions from your business model, because that's going to inform which goals or the priority that those goals have. We'd have to know, again, what the capacity of the team is. So is this something that you only have a day a week to devote to? Are there 4 full-time people? Just because that's going to allow us to understand how far we can get in 1 quarter. So by the end of that, we would know obviously your goals for the quarter, and we would have a backlog of themes and epics that is prioritized. If you're not familiar with themes and epics, just think about it as like how we break down the work into different packages that are mutually exclusive and collectively exhaustive. And that'll give you a digestible target for the next 3 months, and it'll give you a laundry list of all of the priorities that you want to work on in the short term. The last workshop around defining the product and getting into the specifics of testing and putting into place all of the activities that we've defined as part of our strategy and to hit our vision and our targets. We put together a sprint plan. In each sprint, we agree which of the hypotheses and which of the areas of the business model we want to test. And we develop a test card for each of those. And at the end of each sprint, we get together and we review the learnings that we had from that sprint. And we basically decide whether each experiment is a pass or a fail. And that's going to inform our next steps. So in sprint planning, we go through the backlog that we created for the quarter, and with the view of the capacity and with the view of the goals, we decide what are the next steps, what are the things that we want, the activities that we want to bring into the sprint, and just to make those actionable and to make sure that we are, planning for the activity that we can actually complete within the 2 or 3 week period, depending on how long you want to make your sprints. Now, going back to the riskiest assumption within your business model, we would then create a test card. Now, the test card is just a way, it's a good way of capturing a hypothesis, the expected result, how you're going to conduct that test, and what you're going to consider a pass and what you're going to consider a fail. So that's where we're going to get a little bit creative with how we go about testing those different hypotheses within your business model. But what we would walk away with is like the success criteria for the experiments that we decide to conduct within a sprint. This is all going to make a lot more sense when we go through it in more detail. But obviously, we at the end of each sprint, we need to complete a retro and look back on all the activities that completed. Did we plan well? Did we overcommit? Did we not achieve half of the things that we said we would? And we'd also review the outcomes of the experiment so that we can decide which hypothesis is next in line to be tested. And that's what I was thinking, to be able to help you guys out to define the vision, the strategy, and the product, and hopefully put that into practice. Thank you very much, and I look forward to working with you guys.